Welcome to Microbit Expansion Board Explained. In this section, we will go through the different features of the expansion board. At the same time, we will learn together how to use MakeCode to program all these features. This expansion board is powered through this micro USB port. We recommend to use a good mobile power bank, which has a power safety built in. This is the on-off switch. Slide up to on, slide down to off. Each red pin in this highlighted box draws 5 volts directly from the USB bank. This means these red pins draw power directly from the power bank. Each red pin highlighted here gives 3.3 volt regulated power. The expansion board has a built-in 3.3 volt DC to DC regulator. It is used to power the microbit and the electronics on the expansion board. These black pins are the electrical ground for your servos, sensors, or modules to take reference from. This is the microbit slot where you slot in firmly the microbit's edge connectors. These blue pins are connected to microbit's edge connectors. You could use MakeCode pins blocks to program these pins. Only P0, P1, P2, P5, P8, P9, P11, P12, P13, P14, P15, and P16 could be accessed from these blue pins. The expansion board has PCA 9685 LEDs and servos extender built in. Each LED pin here can double as LED or servo pin. Hence, you can access LED 5 to 16 or servo 5 to 16. This is how to include PCA 9685 extension in MakeCode. To put in PCA 9685 reset pin block on the on-start block, please do not change the 64 in all the PCA 9684 blocks. 64 is the default I2C address for this IC. You may want to use the LED blocks to control LED module brightness. You could control all LED 1 to 16 using this block. PCA 9685 use PWM, which is pulse width modulation, to control the brightness of the LEDs. 100 means 100% bright, while 50 means 50% bright, and 0 means off. Note, LED 1 to 4 is used to control motor speed. This we will cover shortly. And here is the help page where you can refer for further details. If you want to use the pin for servo, please use the servo block. You could only control servo 5 to 16 as LED 1 to 4 are reserved for motors. You could input the servo's angles from 0 to 180. You can refer always to the help page for further details. There are 4 DC motors drivers on the expansion board: M1, M2, M3, and M4. Each motor rotation direction is controlled by microbit pins as shown, and each motor speed is controlled by PCA 9685 respective LED pin. Motor 1, which is M1, direction is controlled by microbit P8 and the speed is controlled by PCA 9685's LED1. Let me code M1 forward full speed function to demonstrate the coding. Setting P8 as 1 will make M1 to rotate forward, and making LED1 duty cycle to 100 will make M1 to rotate at full speed. Now we will do the reverse M1 reverse full speed. As for M1 reverse full speed function, P8 should set to 0 while LED1 duty cycle should maintain at 100. If M1 need to be half speed, the duty cycle of LED1 should be adjusted to 50. Now we do a function to stop M1 from rotating. To stop M1 motor, the LED1 duty cycle should set to 0. Motor M2 direction is controlled by microbit P13 and the speed by PCA 9685's LED2. Let me modify the code to demonstrate the coding for M2. For M2 to rotate forward, P13 should be set to 1 and making LED2 duty cycle to 50 for half speed. If P13 is set to 0, M2 will rotate in reverse direction. If LED2 duty cycle is 0, M2 will stop rotating. M3, Motor 3, direction is controlled by microbits P15 and the speed by PCA 9685's LED3. Let me modify the code again to demonstrate coding for M3. For M3 to rotate forward, P15 should be set to 1 and making LED3 duty cycle to 50 for half speed. If P15 is set to 0, M3 will rotate reverse direction. If LED3 duty cycles is 0, M3 will stop rotating. M4, Motor 4, direction is controlled by microbits P1 and the speed by PCA 9685 LED4. Let me modify the code again to demonstrate coding for this M4. For M4 to rotate forward, P1 should set to 1, making LED4 duty cycle to 50 for half speed. If P1 is set to 0, M4 will rotate in reverse direction. If LED4 duty cycle is 0, M4 will stop rotating.